Hi guys, my goodness, this was embarrassing. So Jim Allister, my old friend from the extremist TUV party, stood up in the House of Commons on Monday and put a question to a government minister about, yes, you guessed it, the Irish sea border. Or more precisely, the impact Brexit is having on small businesses who are trying to export from GB into the single market. Jim, of course, never mentions the B word, unless it's to complain that Northern Ireland isn't suffering like the rest of the UK, which he would really like to see. Now, this is in relation to a new regulation regarding product safety and standards, which has resulted in the online store Etsy allowing GB-based businesses to avoid shipping to Northern Ireland, as it's just too much hassle. However, the most embarrassing point is this exchange in Parliament that saw Jim asking the wrong minister. Have a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. E-commerce is an increasing part of our economy. Would the Minister spare a thought for small-scale employers in my constituency and throughout Northern Ireland who from Friday saw their supply chain clobbered by the introduction and the imposition on Northern Ireland of the EU's General Product Safety Regulations, which means many suppliers in GB, because of the extra paperwork, because they have to have an agent that they pay in Northern Ireland, are now failing and refusing to sell to Northern Ireland. Will this government ever take steps to reintegrate Northern Ireland into the internal market?
We've got to shorten the question a little bit to get somebody else in. Come on, Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not entirely sure that the issues that in the members' questions are completely within my responsibilities. However, I would say that DWP colleagues in Northern Ireland work very closely with business, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so, whatever the prevailing economic circumstances.
He's putting these questions, these trade questions, to the Minister for State for the Department of Work and Pensions. Who is he going to ask next? West Streeting about the Irish sea border? Is he going to put the same question to Angela Rayner? What about the Equalities Minister? Is the Equalities Minister going to receive a question about trade between GB and Northern Ireland? It's pathetic. Is it just whoever is at the dispatch box, I'd throw this question at them? Honestly, is that all he's got left? It's pathetic. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing, Jim. Jim, if you don't have something decent to say, sit down. Don't stand up. What is it they say about fools and opening their mouths? Now, this is a serious issue, even though Jim is asking the wrong people. This is about, once again, a consequence of Brexit. It means that because EU standards are going in one direction and the UK is out, or GB, I should say, is outside the single market, it means producers, for example, in this case, small producers in GB, are being instructed to avoid Northern Ireland because they'll have to have someone in the EU to be as a sort of guarantor on their products, for their products. And small businesses can't afford that. So in many cases, they're just avoiding the single market. Now, if the UK was in the single market as a whole, then this would not be an issue. This is a direct consequence of Brexit. Now, Jim Allister will say, well, this is, the problem with the protocol. We need to get rid of the protocol, bring Northern Ireland back into the internal market only and not be part of the single market. But then where does the border go, Jim? I know you would love to see it on the island of Ireland, but it's not going to happen. Look, we're talking about a small amount of trade going between GB and Northern Ireland. We're not talking about millions, we're not talking about billions, we're talking about a very small amount of trade. And it's not worth undoing the Windsor Framework and the Northern Ireland Protocol and the withdrawal agreement for that small amount of trade. Jim Allister can throw his toys out of the pram as much as he wants, he can ask the wrong minister as much as he wants, it's not going to change. The only way to resolve this problem would be for the UK as a whole to rejoin the single market. That's not going to that's not going to happen anytime soon. So, unfortunately, I don't see any way around this problem. Because unless the UK government decides to provide an extra service to these small businesses, but then I don't think they would be able to justify that cost. So unfortunately, for the foreseeable future, unless something changes, these small businesses will avoid Northern Ireland. It's just not worth it for them. Now, what's Jim's solution to all of this? Well, a hard border on the island of Ireland, that's not going to fly, or some sort of mutual enforcement. But once again, that's not a workable solution either. So he has nothing. He just rants and raves about things, but he's not interested in providing a workable solution. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated.